Welcome to Tokyosaurus. So what's up in Japan? Well, this time not so much in Japan, but regarding the talks on an Akira live-action movie. As many of you know, started way back in 2002 when Warner Brothers first acquired the rights to do a live-action remake as part of a 7-figure deal. After many attempts to produce it with different directors, different writers, and approaching a ton of big names across the industry including Christopher Nolan, we are in 2017 and it still seems like nothing is really confirmed. But the latest person to be in talks for directing is the director for the about-to-be-released Thor Ragnarok movie, Mr. Taika Waititi. In a recent article on IGN, it was confirmed that the up-and-coming director was approached about directing the live-action adaptation for Akira. He did not confirm whether he was going to do it or not, but he definitely had thoughts on how to do it if he were to helm the project. First of all, he's a big fan of the original work and stated that he would actually not adapt or remake the animated film released in 1988, but rather he would like to adapt the books, which refers to the 6-volume manga series that the director of Akira, Otomo Katsuhiro, actually wrote and drew himself. But what does that really mean? After all, the animated film was already an adapted version of the manga, as the original manga started publishing in 1982. Without spoiling too much, the manga being over 2,000 pages with 6 volumes obviously was able to cover much more than a short 2-hour movie. There was a lot more character development, or just characters in general, so when it was adapted the first time, Otomo Katsuhiro had to make a lot of choices in choosing what to omit and what to keep for the animated feature. And it seems like Taika Waititi here just has a different set of things he wants to omit and keep from the manga for his adaptation of Akira if he were to do it. To be honest, I think that's a much better idea than to have a straight-up live-action conversion of the original animated film, as why would anyone even want that anyways? And in the past, it was mentioned that Akira could be designed as a 3-part franchise, which means they could probably squeeze an extra 4 hours into the series, which can mean a lot more material from the manga covered. It is generally agreed upon that the manga is a masterpiece. Even though the animated feature wasn't too shabby, it only captured a glimpse of the world of Akira. So if you're a fan of the movie, you definitely need to check out the manga series. That being said, this live-action adaptation, if it were to fall into the hands of Taika Waititi, really seems like the right guy to do it, as he seems like he's looking at all the right places to get his source. Taika Waititi also mentioned if he does end up directing Akira, he would definitely cast Asian leads, and he thinks that Asian teenagers would be the best way to do it. He would be looking for unfound, untapped Asian talent for the roles in a live-action Akira adaptation, rather than known Hollywood names, so that's another huge plus in my books. Back in 2011, we almost had an Akira adaptation with Kristen Stewart, Dane DeHaan, and Garrett Hedlund. But it obviously didn't happen. 6 years later, we are in talks with someone determined to get a full Asian cast, along with a focus on using the original source material, who also happens to be a super big fan himself. I think although many of us are turned off by the number of failed live-action adaptations so far, for this one, at least if he ends up doing it, is sounding the most promising so far out of all the ones we're about to get and the ones we've gotten. Anyways, what do you guys think of Taika Waititi's choices for a live-action adaptation of Akira if he ends up doing it? As usual, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to drop a thumbs up, stay subscribed if you want to be updated with the latest that's going on in Japan, and I'll see you guys in the next one.